Imagine being at the absolute pinnacle of global superstardom, where every massive Hollywood A-lister and music titan is desperately begging for just 1 minute of your time to collaborate. You'd think saying yes is the obvious move, right? Well, not for the biggest group in history. Welcome back to another mind-blowing episode where we uncover the wildest behind-the-scenes secrets of the entertainment world. Today, we are diving deep into a topic that will leave you absolutely speechless. What happens when the most legendary, untouchable global icons knock on BTS's door only to be hit with a polite but firm no? Who are these megastars that actually got rejected by the boys? Was it a clash of crazy schedules, a mismatch in artistic vision, or something much deeper that the media never told us? Grab your snacks and get ready to have your jaw drop, because the names on this list are truly unbelievable. Are you ready to find out who didn't make the cut? Let's jump right into the top 7 global icons who got a no from BTS.
Number 7. Shawn Mendes, The Unfulfilled Promise, a pop prince left on red. Let's talk about the epic, game-changing landscape of the 2017 American Music Awards. The entire global music industry was experiencing a seismic shift, bracing for an impact that nobody truly saw coming. BTS made their historic, groundbreaking U.S. television debut with DNA, and the whole world collectively paused to witness greatness. Everyone, from veteran producers to A-list celebrities, wanted a piece of the Bangtan Boys. Enter Shawn Mendes, the undisputed golden boy of global pop at the time. With massive, inescapable radio hits like There's Nothing Holding Me Back, Stitches, and Treat You Better, Shawn was a chart-topping juggernaut, a literal prince of the industry who could effortlessly dial up any artist on the planet and get a resounding yes before the phone even rang twice. During this monumental night in Los Angeles, Shawn and BTS finally crossed paths backstage. The interaction was pure gold, captured on camera, filled with warm smiles, enthusiastic handshakes, and genuine mutual admiration. RM, as the brilliant and charismatic leader, naturally facilitated the conversation, and the respect between the musicians was undeniable. Shortly after this fateful meeting, the media frenzy erupted into absolute chaos. During multiple high-profile interviews, Shawn was relentlessly bombarded with questions about a potential collaboration, and he didn't hold back his excitement. He confidently looked into the cameras, flashing his signature smile, and declared that a track with BTS was 1000% going to happen. He even made a public promise to the fans, fueling a global meltdown across social media platforms as the Mendes army and the BTS army collided in a wave of euphoric anticipation. Imagine the sheer, mind-boggling magnitude of that concept. Shawn's soulful, acoustic-driven pop-rock vibe seamlessly blending with BTS's ferocious rap line featuring RM, Suga, and J-Hope, perfectly complemented by Jimin's ethereal high notes, Jungkook's flawless pop sensibility, V's soul-stirring deep baritone, and Jin's crystalline silver voice. It was a guaranteed Billboard Hot 100 #1 debut, a match made in commercial heaven that would have broken Spotify streaming records in a matter of hours. But then, the days turned into weeks, the weeks into agonizing months, and the months into literal years. The deafening, heavy silence surrounding this so-called guaranteed collaboration began to speak volumes, echoing loudly through the halls of pop culture. When cornered by relentless interviewers much later on, a visibly humbled Shawn had to publicly admit the harsh, unvarnished reality. They are a busy group. I have no lyrics on their part yet. In the cutthroat, hyper-polite, heavily PR-managed world of the global music industry, being labeled as too busy is the ultimate masterclass diplomatic rejection. It's the velvet rope being gently but firmly closed right in front of your face. But why on earth did BTS say a polite no to such a guaranteed, risk-free smash hit? This is where we have to dive deep into the absolute genius, the uncompromising artistic integrity, and the ruthless strategic brilliance of BTS and their agency, Big Hit Entertainment. You see, BTS isn't just a generic boy band that churns out random, soulless features for the sake of Western validation or cheap radio play. Every single move they make is meticulously calculated, deeply rooted in their overarching thematic eras, and perfectly aligned with their core philosophical message. At that specific point in time, they were diving deep into their critically acclaimed, psychologically complex Love Yourself series, crafting an intricate conceptual universe that required their absolute, undivided attention. Furthermore, their schedule was an unprecedented, grueling marathon of sold-out stadium tours across multiple continents, historic United Nations speeches, and relentless, sleep-deprived studio sessions. They were literally carrying the immense weight of South Korea's cultural economy and global soft power on their shoulders. For BTS, a true musical collaboration isn't just about emailing a vocal file across the globe for a quick cash grab. It requires a genuine, soul-deep connection, a shared narrative, and absolutely perfect timing, something they eventually cultivated with artists like Halsey on Boy With Love and Coldplay on My Universe, where the organic chemistry and thematic alignment were breathtakingly undeniable. The subtle rejection of Shawn Mendes wasn't born out of malice, arrogance, or disrespect. Rather, it was a monumental testament to BTS's untouchable, stratospheric status and their unwavering refusal to compromise their meticulously planned artistic journey for a quick pop crossover. It proved to the entire world that BTS had reached a godlike, unprecedented tier in the global music industry, where even a Western megastar, backed by a massive label, had to take a number and wait in line indefinitely. This historic moment completely shattered the long-standing, toxic dynamic of Asian artists desperately needing Western validation to succeed. Instead, BTS flipped the script entirely, making the Western icons desperately seek their validation and approval. The emotional weight and cultural significance of this realization are profoundly staggering. Imagine being at the absolute top of your game, adorned with awards and platinum plaques, only to realize there is a legendary summit you simply cannot reach because the seven kings guarding it are operating on a completely different, untouchable frequency. Shawn handled the situation with absolute class and grace, continuing to dominate his own musical lane. But that phantom track remains one of pop culture's greatest and most tantalizing what-ifs. It forces us to look at the modern music industry not just as a mechanical factory of manufactured hits, but as a complex, high-stakes chessboard of timing, visionary storytelling, and sheer, unapologetic endurance. It makes you sit back and wonder, if Big Hit had actually given the green light and unlocked the vault, would that song have miraculously redefined the acoustic pop genre? Or would it have been a chaotic, messy clash of two completely different musical worlds trying to force a connection? And more importantly, as we move forward and dig deeper into this explosive list, if a universally beloved, chart-topping pop prince like Shawn Mendes couldn't make the cut and get a yes, who on earth could possibly be next on our radar, and what shocking, deeply hidden reasons lie behind their shattered dreams of officially joining the Bangtan universe?
Number 6. Zedd, the EDM god, ghosted by Bangtan. Imagine the year 2017. The global music scene was absolutely dominated by the electrifying, neon-soaked fusion of EDM and mainstream pop. You literally could not turn on a radio, walk into a shopping mall, or attend a massive outdoor music festival anywhere in the world without hearing the intoxicating, pulsating drops of the industry's most elite DJs. And sitting right at the absolute apex of this electronic dance music Mount Olympus was none other than Anton Zaslavsky, known to the entire planet as the Grammy-winning titan Zedd. This is the man who single-handedly soundtracked an entire generation with colossal platinum-certified, stadium-shaking anthems like Clarity, Stay, and later, The Middle.
Zedd wasn't just a regular music producer, he was a guaranteed hitmaker, a musical Midas whose magical touch could instantly elevate any artist directly to the top of the Billboard Hot 100. When Zedd called, you answered. Period. It was an unspoken, unbreakable rule in Hollywood. But what exactly happens when the undisputed EDM god reaches out to 7 brilliant boys from South Korea who were just beginning to completely rewrite the rules of global superstardom? The incredible story begins with a simple, seemingly innocent American interview where the BTS members casually mentioned that they were huge fans of Zedd's work and would absolutely love to collaborate with him in the future. In the hyper-connected, fast-paced era of social media, word travels at the speed of light, and it didn't take long for this exciting piece of information to reach the maestro himself. On November 17, 2017, in a bold move that caused an absolute seismic earthquake across Twitter, Zedd directly tagged the official BTS account and wrote, "Hi guys, I hear you want to collaborate with me. Let's do it. Happy face." It was a public, undeniable, and highly coveted invitation from one of the biggest hitmakers on Earth. And just a few short hours later, BTS responded, quoting his tweet with an enthusiastic, "Let's do it" smiley face. The internet literally broke in half. The fiercely loyal BTS army and the massive global EDM community collided in a euphoric frenzy of anticipation, creating thousands of fan edits, incredible mashups, and deeply analytical thread predictions about what this monumental musical crossover would actually sound like. Fans passionately imagined Jungkook and Jimin's crystal-clear, angelic vocals soaring effortlessly over a euphoric, mind-bending electronic drop, perfectly balanced by the fierce, rapid-fire, hard-hitting bars of the rap line featuring RM, Suga, and J-Hope, while Jin and V provided the deep, soulful, emotional anchor the track desperately needed. It was supposed to be the ultimate summer anthem, a transcendent cultural moment that would officially cement BTS's absolute dominance in Western radio, while simultaneously giving Zedd the most passionate, dedicated demographic of listeners on the planet. And this wasn't just empty clout-chasing Twitter talk either. Fast forward to April 2018, during a highly publicized and widely circulated radio interview, Zedd excitedly confirmed that the collaborative wheels were actually in motion. He revealed to the world that he had officially reached out to their team, that they were actively exchanging emails, and he had even started sending some of his meticulously crafted, top-tier demo beats over to the boys. The global hype reached an absolute boiling point. But then, nothing. Weeks slowly turned into agonizing months, and those months inevitably turned into literal years. The deafening, heavy silence surrounding this once explosive collaboration began to deeply gnaw at the fans. What exactly went wrong behind those closed studio doors? Did Zedd's production somehow not meet their impossibly high standards? Absolutely not. The harsh truth, which serves as a massive testament to the brutal, uncompromising reality of BTS's ascension to the throne, was far more complex and mind-blowing than anyone could have predicted. The rejection wasn't a loud, dramatic no or a messy public fallout. It was a silent, gradual fade-out, dictated by BTS's absolute, unwavering dedication to their own conceptual narrative. During this exact pivotal period in their career, the members were knee-deep in crafting the incredibly dense, psychologically layered, and emotionally exhausting Love Yourself album trilogy. They weren't just making catchy pop tunes to chase easy radio play. They were meticulously building an intricate, profound cinematic universe that dealt heavily with themes of self-love, mental health struggles, and crushing societal pressure. Their daily schedule was an inhuman, grueling marathon of learning insanely complex choreographies, shooting million-dollar music videos, and flying back and forth across the globe for historically sold-out arena tours. Big Hit Entertainment operated with a strict,
unbreakable philosophy. The music comes first, and the group's core message cannot and will not be diluted for a quick commercial Western hit, no matter who is offering it. While literally any other artist in the world would have completely paused their own album rollouts and dropped absolutely everything for a guaranteed Zedd smash, BTS made the unimaginably bold decision to stay fiercely loyal to their own artistic path. They essentially ghosted one of the most powerful and influential producers in the Western Hemisphere because their own unique story was infinitely more important than riding someone else's wave. This silent, professional rejection is an absolute masterclass in industry power dynamics. It completely and permanently destroyed the toxic, outdated notion that K-pop groups are desperate for Western validation or mainstream handouts. Zedd is a musical legend who commands respect in every single studio he walks into, but BTS inadvertently taught the entire music industry a deeply profound lesson. When you are busy building an empire that will last for generations, you simply do not have the time to stop and build a vacation home in someone else's kingdom, no matter how beautiful or tempting that kingdom might be.
Number 5. Dolly Parton, the Queen of Country, ghosted by the Kings of Pop. Picture this. It is February 10th, 2019, inside the dazzling, star-studded Staples Center in Los Angeles. The 61st Annual Grammy Awards are in full swing, and history is being made right before our very eyes. BTS has finally arrived, becoming the first ever Korean act to present an award at the most prestigious music ceremony on the planet. The tension in the room is palpable, but amidst the nerve-wracking pressure of representing an entire nation on the global stage, a truly magical, unscripted moment happens. The Grammys are putting on a massive, spectacular tribute to the undisputed queen of country music, the living legend herself, Dolly Parton. As Dolly takes the stage to perform her timeless, iconic hit Jolene alongside her goddaughter Miley Cyrus, the cameras start panning across the audience, capturing the reactions of Hollywood's biggest A-listers. And right there, sitting in the front rows, is none other than RM, the brilliant philosophical leader of BTS, absolutely losing his mind. Namjoon isn't just politely clapping, he is entirely in his element, passionately singing along to every single word, swaying to the rhythm, wiping away imaginary tears, and completely immersed in the profound storytelling of American country music. The viral clip of RM and the rest of the boys jamming out to Jolene instantly breaks the internet. Fans worldwide are deeply moved by this beautiful, cross-cultural display of sheer musical appreciation. But the story doesn't end there. In fact, it was just the beginning of one of the most agonizing missed opportunities in pop culture history. 2 days later, on February 12th, the internet comes to an absolute screeching halt. Dolly Parton, a global titan whose career spans of over 5 decades, a woman who has sold over 100 million records worldwide, takes to her official Twitter and Instagram accounts. She posts the viral video of BTS dancing to her performance and drops an absolute bombshell in the caption. "Maybe my next Jolene collab will be with BTS. What do y'all think?" Let that sink in for a moment. This wasn't a thirsty internet influencer chasing quick clout or a desperate pop star looking for a boost in streaming numbers. This was Dolly Parton, the untouchable, universally adored matriarch of American music, personally inviting a South Korean boy band to collaborate on her most sacred, culturally significant masterpiece. In the brutal, cutthroat Western music industry, getting a public cosign from Dolly is the ultimate golden ticket. It is a guaranteed pass into the elusive, highly conservative American heartland demographic, a move that would have instantly secured BTS's status as a household name among older Western generations and practically guaranteed them a massive surge in mainstream Grammy votes the following year.
The global army went into a state of absolute euphoria. Fans were already creating magnificent, mind-blowing mashups, passionately imagining RM's deep, poetic baritone voice, weaving a fresh, hip-hop-infused country beat, flawlessly trading lines with Dolly's angelic, crystal-clear twang. It was supposed to be the ultimate genre-defying masterpiece that would unite two completely different worlds in a beautiful symphony of sound. But what happened next is something that still haunts the deepest corners of the fandom to this very day. Absolute, deafening silence. No official press release from Big Hit Entertainment, no enthusiastic reply quote tweet from the boys, no leaked studio photos of Namjoon in a cowboy hat, just a polite, respectful, but incredibly firm ghosting. How on earth does a musical act say a silent no to a living, breathing legend who essentially built the very foundation of modern songwriting? To understand this shocking rejection, we have to look deep into the brilliant, uncompromising, and sometimes ruthlessly strict mind of Kim Namjoon and the visionary team behind BTS. At that precise moment in early 2019, BTS was heavily gearing up for the monumental, heavily anticipated release of their Map of the Soul Persona album. RM was diving headfirst into complex psychological theories by Carl Jung, crafting an intricately woven, deeply philosophical narrative about identity, the crushing weight of fame, and the hidden shadows of the human soul. Their artistic timeline was meticulously planned down to the very last second, carrying the massive cultural weight of South Korea on their shoulders. A country pop remix of Jolene, no matter how legendary the collaborator, would have completely derailed their painstakingly crafted conceptual universe and confused their overarching thematic message during a critical era of their career. BTS has always operated on a strict, unbreakable principle. A musical collaboration must be organically born from a shared artistic vision and deep mutual understanding, not just a strategic PR move handed to them on a silver platter. They refused to treat a monumental, historically significant artist like Dolly Parton as mere Western validation. By silently declining the offer, RM and BTS proved that their artistic integrity and their unwavering dedication to their own unique story were infinitely more valuable than any guaranteed radio hit, viral trend, or demographic expansion. Can you even begin to imagine the immense, agonizing discipline it takes to sit in a private studio looking at a direct, public invitation from one of the greatest songwriters in human history and making the excruciating decision to respectfully pass it up for the sake of your art? It is a level of artistic conviction that is almost terrifying to comprehend, completely shattering the illusion that K-pop acts will just say yes to anyone famous.
Number 4. Tinashe, the ultimate fanboy dream sacrificed for the greater good. Let's completely rewind the clock and dive into the pulsating, rhythm-driven heart of BTS, the unparalleled dance captain and the eternal sunshine of the group, Jung Ho-seok, popularly known to the entire globe as the one and only J-Hope. To truly understand the sheer magnitude, the heavy emotional weight, and the absolute insanity of this next mind-bending rejection, you have to realize that long before the sold-out global stadium tours, the historic Grammy nominations, and the unprecedented Billboard #1s, J-Hope was just an insanely talented, fiercely passionate street dancer with a head full of massive dreams and a meticulously curated, heavily played playlist of musical inspirations. And sitting comfortably right at the absolute top of that prestigious playlist was the undisputed, multi-talented princess of modern R&B, Tinashe. For years, across countless international interviews, intimate fan meetings, bustling red carpets, and behind-the-scenes vlogs, whenever any journalist or host would ask J-Hope who his ultimate celebrity crush or dream musical collaborator was, his answer was always immediate, deeply enthusiastic, and unwaveringly consistent: Tinashe.
He didn't just casually like her music, he profoundly respected her unparalleled work ethic, her fluid, mesmerizing dance skills, and her ability to effortlessly blend hardcore hip-hop beats with silky, sultry R&B vocals. He was a genuine, certified fanboy in the purest sense of the word, proudly wearing his admiration on his sleeve. Naturally, in the hyper-connected, fast-paced world of 24/7 internet culture, the fiercely loyal BTS army took it upon themselves to play the ultimate digital matchmakers. They relentlessly tagged Tinashe in thousands of videos, beautifully compiled clips of J-Hope's intricate dance practices, and flooded her social media mentions, demanding that she acknowledge the South Korean prodigy who was actively praising her name on the other side of the planet. And then, the magical, seemingly impossible moment actually happened. Sometime in 2017, during a highly publicized, widely circulated red carpet interview, a journalist finally brought up J-Hope's massive admiration directly to Tinashe. She flashed a gorgeous, knowing smile, looked straight into the camera, and delivered the exact words that every single fan on Earth had been desperately waiting to hear. "Send me a track. Hit me up. I'm down." The internet completely shattered into a million pieces. This wasn't a vague, diplomatic PR statement or a polite deflection. This was a direct, unmistakable, and highly coveted green light from a major established Western star, explicitly inviting J-Hope to make his ultimate fanboy dream a concrete reality. The global fandom went into an absolute state of euphoric meltdown, passionately visualizing the massive power of a J-Hope and Tinashe dance break, perfectly synchronized, shattering the stage with their combined charisma. The golden ticket was literally printed, signed, and placed right in the palm of Big Hit Entertainment's hands. All they had to do was send a single email with a demo attachment, and history would have been made overnight. But then, an agonizing, deafening, and highly confusing silence swept over the situation. Weeks passed, then months, and eventually the highly anticipated collaboration simply never materialized. The harsh, brilliant, and deeply emotional truth behind this silent no is an absolute masterclass in unwavering artistic discipline and the brutal sacrifices required to build a legendary solo legacy. During this exact, highly critical period, J-Hope was secretly locked away in the studio, pouring his blood, sweat, and tears into his heavily anticipated debut solo mixtape, Hope World. This project wasn't just a collection of random pop songs, it was a deeply intimate, incredibly vulnerable, and fiercely independent sonic autobiography. It was Hoseok's sole opportunity to introduce his true, unfiltered self to the world, completely stripping away the idol persona to reveal the fears, the pressures, and the raw ambition underneath. To include a massive headline-grabbing Western feature, even from his ultimate idol, would have inevitably shifted the media focus away from his deeply personal narrative and turned his sacred debut project into a heavily commercialized, PR-driven crossover event. J-Hope and his visionary production team made the excruciating, unbelievably mature decision to politely ignore the open invitation from Tinashe in order to fiercely protect the pure, untainted essence of Hope World. Can you even begin to fathom the sheer, terrifying amount of willpower it takes to look at a public yes from the very person you've idolized for your entire career and silently walk away from it because your own artistic integrity demands that you stand on your own 2 feet first? It completely shatters the toxic industry standard illusion that artists must jump at every single clout-chasing opportunity presented to them. J-Hope inadvertently taught the world a profoundly moving lesson. Sometimes the most powerful and defining choice you can make in your entire life is sacrificing your biggest personal dream to protect your artistic soul. It's a beautifully tragic, incredibly inspiring tale of missed connections that solidifies BTS's untouchable status as true, uncompromising artists rather than manufactured pop puppets. And as we sit back and digest the massive emotional weight of this missed R&B masterpiece, it forces us to look ahead and wonder in absolute awe.
Number 3. Ariana Grande, the Princess of Pop, left waiting in the digital void. Prepare yourselves to completely reevaluate everything you thought you knew about the cutthroat, fiercely competitive nature of the global pop music industry, because this next story is an absolute masterclass in unwavering loyalty and staggering sacrifice. We are transporting you back to the sweltering, incredibly chaotic, and culturally monumental summer of 2019. At this exact moment in pop culture history, the entire music universe was practically bowing down to one undisputed, untouchable monarch, the reigning princess of pop, Ariana Grande. Fresh off the mind-bending, historic success of her back-to-back magnum opuses Sweetener and Thank You Next, Ariana was not just breaking long-standing industry records, she was completely obliterating them, simultaneously holding the top 3 spots on the Billboard Hot 100, a god-tier milestone previously only achieved by the Beatles over half a century earlier. She was the most sought-after, highly protected, and exclusively guarded vocal powerhouse on the planet, an artist whose mere associated breath on a feature track could guarantee a multi-platinum certification overnight. Meanwhile, Jungkook, the remarkably talented, fiercely driven golden maknae of BTS, was actively soaring to his own unprecedented heights of global superstardom alongside his 6 brothers. Jungkook has always been notoriously observant, an absolute perfectionist who constantly studies Western pop titans to continuously evolve his own breathtaking vocal prowess and electrifying stage presence. On May 6, 2019, during a rare, precious night off from BTS's own grueling, history-making Love Yourself, Speak Yourself stadium tour in Los Angeles, Jungkook quietly slipped into the VIP section of the Staples Center to witness Ariana's spectacular Sweetener World Tour. The immense, unspoken respect between the two generational talents was beautifully mutual, and what happened after the final curtain fell completely fractured the internet into a billion glittering pieces. Ariana proudly posted a stunning, instantly iconic backstage photograph of the two of them standing side by side in the dimly lit hallway, radiating sheer, blinding star power. But she didn't just casually post it for quick engagement. She explicitly revealed to her hundreds of millions of devoted followers that she was so deeply honored by his presence that she had actually set their photo as the permanent lock screen on her personal phone. The digital shockwaves were instantaneous, deafening, and absolutely historic. The fiercely dedicated BTS army and the massive, highly organized Ariana tours completely merged into an unstoppable digital tidal wave, instantly trending worldwide hashtags, creating breathtakingly realistic audio mashups of their voices, and desperately begging their respective management agencies to lock them in a recording studio immediately. The global hype reached an absolute terrifyingly high fever pitch when Tommy Brown, Ariana's genius multi-platinum executive producer, actually traveled to Seoul, South Korea, and was actively seen hanging out with the big hit production team, snapping photos with RM, Suga, J-Hope, and Jimin. To the global public and the relentless media machine, a Jungkook and Ariana Grande collaboration wasn't just a fleeting, baseless rumor. It was an absolute, undeniable certainty, a guaranteed Grammy-sweeping pop crossover event of the century just waiting for an official midnight release date. But then, as the explosive, white-hot hype slowly burned down into a desperate, agonizing wait, the harsh, unforgiving reality of big hit entertainment's unbreakable corporate philosophy brutally set in. The days turned into months, the months bled into literal years, and that world-shattering collaboration was silently, firmly, and tragically put into the vault forever, without a single official explanation. Why
on earth would Big Hit pass up the literal golden ticket of Western pop dominance? How could they silently ghost the most powerful female artist in the world when she had practically rolled out the red carpet for their youngest star? The mind-blowing, deeply emotional answer lies entirely within the sacred, unyielding, and fiercely protected concept of the OT7 Brotherhood. You see, long before the monumental, groundbreaking era of Chapter 2, where the BTS members finally unleashed their phenomenal solo careers upon the world, Big Hit operated under a ruthlessly strict, ironclad law. The group always, absolutely, without a single exception, comes first. There were no official, heavily promoted solo commercial debuts, permitting Jungkook, the youngest member, to launch a massive, highly commercialized, mainstream pop feature with Ariana Grande would have completely shattered the intricate, delicate balance of the group's dynamic and severely disrupted the meticulously planned timeline of their overarching musical universe. It would have instantaneously transformed Jungkook from the beloved maknae of BTS into a standalone Western pop anomaly, completely derailing the collective narrative they had spent 7 agonizing years building from the ground up in a cramped, humid dormitory in Seoul. This wasn't just a simple bureaucratic scheduling conflict. It was a profound, awe-inspiring display of absolute loyalty and unimaginable self-discipline. Jungkook, a young man who actively idolized the Western pop scene and had the undisputed queen of the industry essentially handing him the coveted keys to the kingdom, made the unbelievably mature, entirely selfless decision to completely sacrifice a guaranteed history-making solo milestone for the greater good of his 6 brothers. He understood, with a wisdom far beyond his years, that the phenomenal, world-conquering magic of BTS only existed because they moved as one unbreakable, impenetrable unit. The silent rejection of Ariana Grande's hype remains one of the most painfully beautiful, achingly unresolved what-ifs in modern musical history, a stunning testament to the terrifying power of saying no to absolute perfection in order to fiercely protect the sacred bond of family. And as we stand on the absolute precipice of our next earth-shattering revelation, your mind has to be reeling with absolute disbelief.
Number 2. Drake, the Six God, humbled by the August D standard. Brace yourselves, because this next revelation is going to completely shake the very foundation of the global hip-hop community and force you to look at the music industry in an entirely different light. We are taking you straight behind the velvet ropes and heavily guarded VIP doors of the 2019 Billboard Music Awards in Las Vegas. The atmosphere inside the MGM Grand Garden Arena was absolutely electric, practically vibrating with the combined egos, astronomical star power, and ruthless ambition of the world's biggest musical titans. But amidst all the flashing cameras, frantic music executives, and chaotic red carpet interviews, there was only one group that absolutely everyone was desperately trying to get a glimpse of: BTS. And standing directly in their path, waiting for his highly anticipated moment, was none other than the undisputed, chart-dominating, record-shattering Six God of Toronto himself, Drake. At this specific point in modern music history, Drake wasn't just a successful rapper, he was a literal cultural monopoly. He commanded the Billboard Hot 100 with an iron fist, single-handedly dictating global radio trance and turning every single artist he featured with into an overnight millionaire. A musical cosign from Drake was considered the absolute holy grail of the music industry, a guaranteed, fast-tracked ticket to permanent mainstream immortality. In a heavily circulated, instantly iconic backstage video that completely broke the internet, we see Drake actively seeking out the Bangtan Boys. He confidently walks up to them, flashing his signature charismatic smile, shaking their hands with genuine respect, and dropping an absolute bombshell of a compliment that echoed around the globe. "You guys are the most famous people in North America right now. We gotta do something."
The internet went into an immediate, apocalyptic meltdown. For Min Yoongi, globally known as the fiercely uncompromising underground rap genius Suga, this was supposed to be the ultimate reality-altering peak of his career. Suga grew up obsessively studying the intricate rhymes, complex beats, and aggressive flow of Western hip-hop, essentially using it as a lifeline during his most difficult pre-debut days. Having the biggest, most influential rapper on the planet look him dead in the eye and publicly propose a collaboration is the kind of massive validation that 99% of artists would literally sell their souls for. The media frenzy was instantaneous and deafening. Prestigious music magazines and relentless blog sites immediately began publishing endless speculative articles about what a Drake and BTS rap line track would actually sound like. Fans passionately visualized Suga's razor-sharp, rapid-fire Korean bars, flawlessly transitioning into Drake's smooth, instantly recognizable Toronto flow over a heavy, atmospheric trap beat. It was a guaranteed, undeniable recipe for a multi-platinum, Grammy-sweeping global club anthem that would have shattered Spotify's servers within the first 5 minutes of its release. But then, in what has become a legendary, recurring theme in the fiercely guarded BTS universe, the explosive, earth-shattering hype slowly dissolved into an agonizing, baffling, and completely deafening silence. Big Hit Entertainment issued absolutely no statements. Suga never released a studio teaser. The colossal, earth-shattering collaboration with the Six God was silently, deliberately, and permanently shoved into the darkest corner of the Big Hit vault. How on earth do you look at a golden ticket from Drake and politely swipe left? To truly comprehend the sheer, terrifying magnitude of this silent rejection, you have to look deeply into the complex, fiercely independent, and profoundly philosophical mind of Min Yoongi. As both a cornerstone producer for BTS and a critically acclaimed solo artist under the moniker August D, Suga does not simply manufacture catchy background noise for VIP nightclubs. His music is a raw, bleeding, and unapologetically brutal exploration of mental health struggles, crushing societal expectations, the suffocating weight of fame, and the darkest, most vulnerable corners of the human psyche. At that exact moment in 2019, BTS was heavily submerged in the emotionally exhausting, intellectually dense map of the soul era, while Suga was quietly pouring his soul into the deeply personal traumas that would eventually shape his phenomenal D2 mixtape. Teaming up with Drake, whose incredibly successful discography at the time was predominantly dominating the charts with themes of extravagant wealth, lavish lifestyles, and late-night party anthems, would have been an incredibly jarring, fundamentally incompatible clash of artistic identities. Suga operates on a ruthlessly strict, unshakable policy of absolute musical authenticity. He only collaborates when there is a profound, organic, and deeply emotional alignment of souls, as beautifully demonstrated in his breathtaking, critically acclaimed work with artists like IU, Halsey, and Epic High. He simply does not have the time, the patience, or the desire to participate in heavily manufactured, strictly commercial clout features, no matter how many billions of streams or award show trophies are attached to the offer. By silently passing on Drake's highly publicized invitation, Suga and the BTS team delivered a staggering, industry-shaking statement that completely obliterated the long-standing, inherently toxic power dynamics of the Western music business. They boldly proved that the K-pop industry was no longer a subservient, desperate player begging for a Western hip-hop cosign to legitimize their existence. Instead, they had become the absolute, undisputed titans of their own universe, operating on an untouchable, stratospheric level where even the biggest, most influential rapper on the planet had to respect their boundaries and accept their silent decline. It was an awe-inspiring, jaw-dropping display of artistic integrity and quiet arrogance that forever cemented Suga's legacy as a true, uncompromising maestro who absolutely refuses to bend the knee to commercial pressure. Can you even begin to fathom the immense, unshakable confidence
confidence it takes to essentially leave the Six God on read because your own deeply personal story is simply too important to compromise. The Phantom Suga and Drake track remains one of the most agonizing, intensely debated what-ifs in hip-hop history, a colossal mirage of mainstream dominance sacrificed to protect the pure, untainted essence of the Bangtan soul. And as the heavy, dramatic dust settles on this mind-blowing revelation, the tension is reaching an absolute, unbearable breaking point.
Number 1. Michael Jackson, the king of pop's legacy, respectfully declined. Hold on to your absolute sanity, because we have officially arrived at the ultimate, indisputable zenith of our countdown. And this final revelation is so monumental, so historically staggering, that it will permanently alter the way you view the entire global music industry. We are talking about a name that transcends mere fame, a literal god of the stage who practically invented modern pop culture, the eternal king of pop himself, Michael Jackson. To fully grasp the mind-bending gravity of this situation, you have to first look at Park Jimin, the ethereal, impossibly talented lead vocalist and main dancer of BTS. For his entire life, Jimin has unapologetically worshipped at the altar of Michael Jackson. He has spent countless, grueling hours in front of the mirror, meticulously studying and flawlessly recreating Jackson's iconic anti-gravity leans, razor-sharp moonwalks, and mesmerizing vocal tics. When BTS released their record-shattering, Grammy-nominated English mega-hit Dynamite, the entire world watched in absolute awe as Jimin and the boys delivered a breathtaking, pitch-perfect visual and choreographic homage to the king of pop, earning massive, widespread praise from the global public and even a direct, highly coveted nod of approval from the Michael Jackson estate itself. It was the ultimate cosmic collision of two generational titans. So when massive, earth-shattering reports began to rapidly surface in the global media, claiming that BTS had been officially invited by former MJ collaborators and producers, including legendary studio owners in Ireland, to actively participate in a highly secretive, multi-million-dollar Michael Jackson tribute album and even re-record some of his precious, unreleased vault tracks, the internet didn't just break, it completely evaporated. For a group that has consistently cited MJ as their absolute, undisputed North Star, this was the ultimate holy grail, a guaranteed fast track to permanent, undeniable musical immortality that would bridge the gap between the 20th and 21st centuries in a glorious symphony of historic pop dominance. Fans were completely delirious with euphoria, passionately visualizing Jimin's angelic, soaring high notes seamlessly blending with a digitally remastered, never-before-heard vocal track from Michael himself, creating an emotional, tear-jerking masterpiece that would undoubtedly sweep every single category at the Grammy Awards. But then, in a move that completely paralyzed the entertainment world and sent absolute shockwaves through the highest tiers of Hollywood, Big Hit Entertainment released a formal, cold, and definitively ironclad public statement. BTS has neither visited the studio nor taken part in any recording sessions. The group is not involved in the tribute album in any capacity. Boom. Just like that, the heaviest, most legendary golden ticket in the entire history of human entertainment was politely, firmly, and permanently shredded into a million pieces. But why? How on earth do you look at the literal legacy of Michael Jackson, the man whose very blueprint you built your career upon, and casually walk away? The devastatingly brilliant, profoundly respectful truth behind this monumental rejection is an absolute masterclass in legacy preservation and artistic integrity. The BTS members, especially Jimin, hold an almost sacred, untouchable reverence for Michael Jackson's original, untainted art. They acutely understood that stepping onto a posthumous tribute album, especially one utilizing unfinished, unreleased vocals that Michael himself
himself never officially approved for the public during his lifetime, could dangerously cross the line from a beautiful homage into a heavily commercialized, ethically questionable cash grab driven by greedy music executives. They refused to let their massive global brand be used as a cheap promotional vehicle to sell a repackaged ghost of their ultimate idol. Furthermore, BTS was operating at the absolute peak of their own history-making trajectory. They were no longer a group that needed to borrow the spotlight from past legends to legitimize their own existence. By saying a silent, respectful no to the MJ project, Jimin and the boys made the most powerful, unimaginably bold statement of their entire career. True respect for your idols doesn't mean eagerly jumping at the chance to exploit their unfinished work for your own commercial gain. It means letting their immaculate legacy rest in absolute peace while you humbly focus on building your own original empire. It was a staggering display of maturity, a profound refusal to compromise their morals, and a definitive, undeniable proof that BTS cannot be bought, tempted, or swayed by any name on the planet, not even the king of pop himself. Can you even begin to comprehend the sheer, terrifying amount of willpower and raw, unadulterated confidence it takes to essentially hang up the phone on the Michael Jackson estate because your own artistic ethics are simply too strong to bend? This phantom collaboration remains the ultimate, untouchable what-if in the grand, sweeping history of pop music, a hauntingly beautiful mirage of a duet that was sacrificed on the altar of pure, unyielding respect.
And there you have it, the absolute, mind-blowing, and historically unprecedented list of the top 7 global icons who actually received a polite but devastating no from the biggest musical act in human history, BTS. When you take a step back and truly look at the sheer, terrifying magnitude of the names we just discussed, from the reigning pop princes like Shawn Mendes to the stadium-shaking EDM god Zedd, from the untouchable, legendary queen of country Dolly Parton to the ultimate R&B idol Tinashe, from the history-making vocal powerhouse Ariana Grande to the undisputed, chart-monopolizing six-god Drake, all the way up to the sacred, immortal legacy of the king of pop himself, Michael Jackson, it completely shatters every single preconceived notion you ever had about how the ruthless, cutthroat entertainment industry actually operates. In a world completely obsessed with manufactured viral moments, desperate clout chasing, and artificial PR-driven collaborations designed solely to squeeze every last dime out of the global streaming algorithms, RM, Jin, Suga, J-Hope, Jimin, V, and Jungkook stood absolutely firm like an impenetrable fortress of artistic integrity. They proved time and time again, with agonizing self-discipline and unimaginable sacrifice, that their deeply personal message, their intricate conceptual universe, and their sacred, unbreakable 7-member brotherhood are infinitely more valuable than any guaranteed Billboard Hot 100 #1 debut or desperate mainstream Western validation. This countdown wasn't just a simple list of missed musical opportunities or juicy backstage Hollywood gossip. It is a profound, deeply emotional masterclass in what it truly means to be a legendary artist in the 21st century. It forces us to actively ask ourselves a deeply uncomfortable question. How many of us would actually have the raw, unwavering courage to look our absolute biggest idols dead in the eye and say no because our own personal journey requires us to walk a different path? How many of us would completely sacrifice a guaranteed golden ticket to individual solo superstardom just to fiercely protect the family and the team that built us from the ground up in a cramped, humid dormitory in Seoul? For decades, the Western music industry operated on an arrogant, deeply flawed assumption that any international or Asian act would immediately drop to their knees and completely compromise their own artistic vision for just a fraction of a second of mainstream American spotlight. The Bangtan Boys didn't just break chart records, they completely obliterated that toxic power dynamic, rewriting the psychological rulebook of global fame and establishing an impossibly high standard of authenticity
authenticity that the rest of the music industry is still desperately trying to comprehend. Every single silent rejection, every single ghosted email, every polite decline, and every single unreleased demo track sitting in the dark, heavily guarded vaults of big hit entertainment represents a pivotal, monumental choice to prioritize soul over sales, meaning over money, and long-term legacy over temporary, fleeting hype. They built an absolute empire, not by blindly saying yes to every lucrative opportunity that crossed their desk, but by fiercely guarding the gates of their creative universe and carefully curating a discography that remains 100% true to their own complex human experiences. As you sit there right now processing the heavy, awe-inspiring reality of these 7 lost collaborations, I want you to head down into the comment section and tell me the absolute unfiltered truth. Which of these legendary, agonizingly unreleased tracks breaks your heart the most? Are you still secretly mourning the loss of that angelic, high-note soaring Jungkook and Ariana Grande pop masterpiece? Does the thought of Suga and Drake trading aggressive, razor-sharp bars over a heavy, atmospheric trap beat keep you up late at night? Or are you forever haunted by the beautiful, tragically unrealized dream of Jimin and the group paying the ultimate harmonized tribute to the immortal Michael Jackson? Drop your wildly passionate theories, your deeply emotional frustrations, and your most desperate, far-fetched what-ifs down below, because I want to read every single one of them. If this mind-bending, emotional roller coaster of a journey behind the heavily guarded velvet ropes of the BTS universe left you completely speechless and craving more behind-the-scenes truth, make sure you absolutely smash that like button, aggressively hit subscribe, and turn on those notification bells so you never miss another deep dive into the wildest, most heavily guarded secrets of the global entertainment world. The music industry is a massive, complex, and incredibly deceptive chessboard, and we are just barely scratching the surface of the brilliant moves that were never made and the sacrifices that were hidden from the public eye.